Hello, welcome to all. I am Dr.V. Thamilarasi, Assistant Professor of Sri Shraddha College for Women, Department of Computer Science. Now we are going to discuss some of the basic concepts behind artificial neural network. Today is the era of artificial intelligence. So artificial neural network is a basic pillar of artificial intelligence. Then we have already know about what is neural network and how it becomes artificial neural network. So concepts behind these topics and some similarities and comparison have been discussed in this lecture. So those are neural networks, artificial neural network, biological neural network, comparison between biological neuron and artificial neuron, an application scope of artificial neural network and the evolution of neural network and some of the basic models of artificial neural network, then learning methods, activation functions, and some important terminologies of ANN. So these are the 9 topics we are going to cover today's lecture. So what is neural network? So neural networks are a set of algorithms model after the human brain. So like human brain, neural networks are built based on the working methodology of human brain. So they are used to recognize patterns, classify data and make predictions. So they consist of interconnected layers and nodes. These are called neurons. So each neuron process input and passes it to the next layer and finally it produces output. So neural networks learn from data using training algorithm. With the help of algorithm, neural networks going to learn about data. So this can be widely used in artificial neural network, the artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, data science, etc. So neural networks handle both linear and complex nonlinear problems. The structure may vary from simple to very deep architecture, but depends on the application the layer is going to be used in a particular model. The model also selected based on the what type of problem need a decision making. So what is neural network and what is artificial neural network? So we already see the first slide. Neural network is a interconnected nodes which is placed in each layer, which is called a neuron. So like that, artificial neural networks are a special type of machine learning algorithms that are modeled after the human brain. That is, it's modeled like a human brain. So how the neuron is, our nervous systems are able to learn from the past data. Similarly, artificial neural network is learn some information from the data and provide responses in the form of predictions or classifications. Okay, so artificial neural networks are non-linear statistical methods which display a complex relationship between the input and output and discover the new pattern. So variety of tasks such as image recognition, speech recognition, machine translation as well as the medical diagnosis make use of these artificial neural network. So an important advantage of artificial neural network is the fact that it learns from the example data state. Most commonly usage of ANN is that of a random function approximation. So by these tools, one can have cost-effective method of arriving the solutions that define the distribution. So ANN is also capable of taking sample data rather than the entire data set to provide a output result. So now we have know what is the difference between neural network and artificial neural network. Neural network is a collection of nodes with a interconnected layer which is called as a neuron, which resembles like a human brain. The same artificial neural follow the same structure of neural network, but it has a collection of interconnected layers. So artificial neural network contains input layer, hidden layer and output layer. In input layer is the first layer which receives information Maybe the data may be any form, text, number, audio files, image files, however. And hidden layer, it's a middle layer of ANN model, and this can be a single hidden layer as in the case of perceptron, or it may be a multiple hidden layers. So it varies from different type of data and depends of pattern of data. Then we have a output layer. We obtain results that we obtain through a computation performed by the middle layer. So we have input layer, middle layer and output layer. Input layer which receives the information, hidden layer process the information, depends on perceptron or multi-level, and it produces output based on the input. So it is the basic structure of artificial neural network. Then what are the application of artificial neural networks? We already know there is a lot of application of artificial neural networks which is currently being used in a real time also. So the application of first one is the image recognition, and otherwise speech recognition, fraud detection, stock market prediction, natural language processing, autonomous vehicles detection, medical diagnosis, recommendation system, industrial automation, even disease detection, agriculture, from fertilizers detection, so etc. Many forms of data can be processed and identified and produced a result with the help of artificial neural network. Okay, so how it can be used for image recognition? For example, in the given example, the handwritten character, while the four input is a handwritten data, while it going to an artificial network which produce the corresponding four and identify it's a four. That is the given image is a handwritten data. So it's a character recognition. The given is a four. So it's easily identified a character recognition. Then speech recognition. So ERL models of speech recognition is based on the statistical models like hidden Markov model, but in neural network is a absolute choice for the speech recognition, because which has many tools and support libraries which easily identified speech. That is, it converts speech to text and text to speech. There is a natural language processing available, so it easily processes any type of data. Then signature classification. So we can use AN models for classification, regression. So what type of data need to be processed based on the decision making, based on the problem needed, which needed the solution, it can be processed. Okay, so here the signature is based on the signature, it can be easily classified. And facial recognition, the particular person is this person is that person, like that, any classification can be easily done, and facial recognition can be easily done with the help of artificial neural network. So this the given figure simply shows how the artificial neural network works. That is, it first input is get from one layer and processed in the middle layer, that is the hidden layer, and which produce output in the output layer. Maybe we have a two or more input layer, there is a number of hidden layers, there is only one output layer. It depends on whether it's a regression model or whether it's a classification model. If it is a classification model, the output will be a yes or no question. Okay, maybe it's a yes, maybe it's a no. So there is a feed forward neural network, and back propagation also happen during the artificial neural network process. So now we have a definite understanding of what is artificial neural network. So artificial neural network is a computational model. It developed based on the human brain process, so which has input layer, hidden layer and output layer, and which has a feed forward layer and back propagation layer, and each neuron is connected to a particular weight and activation function. Okay, and this artificial neural network used a supervised learning or unsupervised learning algorithm. So they can generate a form examples and handle noisy data. Artificial neural was suitable for nonlinear and complex data also. So based on the learning algorithm, the weight adjustment have been done by a models. Okay, artificial neural network models. So it can be used in a real world, otherwise real time application analysis also. Okay, so how the artificial neural network resembles brain. Okay, here the simple picture shows how the dentries and synapses work in artificial neural network, how the input layer and hidden layer work to produce the output. Okay, so this is the similarities between a biological neuron and artificial neural. So artificial neuron processes a large number of processing elements called nodes and neurons, which operates in a parallel. So parallelly each neuron works to capture the data. So neurons are connected with other by connection link. So each link is associated with the weight and which contains information about the input signal. So each neuron has an internal state of its own, which is function of a input. The neuron receives activation level. So these are the process which is going to be happen in a artificial neural network process. So there is a input signal which is processed in a middle layer according to the weight also updated, and which produces the output. So what is biological neuron? So biological neuron is composed of many biological neurons which is built to produce a human brain. So neurons communicate through synapses and electrical signals which receives input through the dendrites and set output via axons. So the learning out occurs through strengthening or weakening connections. So biological neurons exhibits plasticity and adaptability. So they process multiple sensory inputs in real time. They control bodily functions, emotions and actions. So everyone know how the brain works, how it receives input and how it processes and how the emotions can be delivered and how the actions can be delivered with the help of neurons. Okay. So there is definitely a billions of interconnected neurons and in a brain networks, and it's a self-organized one, and doesn't need any external stimulation. It is the biological neural network. So comparison between biological neuron and artificial neuron. So already we know what is neural network, artificial neural network, and what is the biological neural network. So biological neural network contains synapses, denticles and axons. In artificial neural we have input layer, middle layer and output layer. In artificial neural network we have also weights and activation functions and learning algorithms and optimizers, and this can be used to enhance the data and produce the data within a milliseconds. Okay, so it mimics the biological structure of brain. Okay, so both process and transmit information. So both structure able to process and transmit information. This is the main reason why it can be called as a biological neuron and why it can be called as a artificial neuron. So how the neural network is evolved? So it's originated in the year of 1940, which is early neuron models. Okay, the perceptron was first developed. It has only a single layers. So faced challenges due to limited capability in 1960. So in 1960 there is a only limited capability of new layers can be used. After multi-layer perceptron can be introduced to solve the complex problems. Okay, 1986 the back propagation algorithm has been evolved, and development of deep learning led to the deep neural networks. So the advances in hardware improved training efficiency. So however it starts from 1940, and next single layer perceptron is produced, and next 1960 there is a limitation arised, and after the 1986 backpropagation produced and multi-layer perceptron produced, and deep learning and advanced hardware models and AI application, big data analytics. So everything evolved stage by stage based on the neural network. Okay, this is the evolution of neural network. So what are the basic models of ANN? So I already told it's a single rail perceptron, multi-layer perceptron, feed-forward neural network, recurrent neural network. So these are the four types of artificial neural network basic models. Okay. So what is single layer perceptron then? Single layer perceptron is for a linearly separable data. Okay, so multi-layer perceptron for a complex problem solving. So feed forward neural network for it to handle statical data. Recurrent neural network for sequential data. Then convolutional neural network for image data. So here there is a lot and lot of artificial neural network model available, and each handle different type of data and different type of processing, but the layer architecture is same. There is input layer, hidden layer and output layer. The number of layers present in hidden layer may be going to be vary. So, but this is the basic architecture of artificial neural network, and these models can be used to analyze the data, depends on the user requirement and application requirement. Okay, so the data can be clustered and visualized, and it can be used auto encoder for feature extraction and compression. So each model has a specific unique characteristics, and each model handles specific unique data types. Okay, these are the some models which is used in artificial neural network. Okay, what is learning methods? So there is a different type of learning methods available: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, burst learning, online learning, gradient descent optimizers, backpropagation, Hebbian learning, competitive learning, and learning method depends on as such task and data set. So what is supervised learning? Supervised learning uses a labeled data. So there is a labeled data which is maybe called as a historical data. So we already know what is what. In unsupervised learning, it used unlabeled data. So maximum it utilized the real-time data. So there is a chance to find a different patterns in the data. So it's reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning works based on the rewards and penalties. So it more or less is used the concept of robotics. So batch learning trains all data at once. So while going deep learning models, batch learning is very important, and gradient descent optimizers and back propagation, Hebbian learning, all is make participation in a deep learning models. So competitive learning selects the strongest neuron, while learning method depends on the task and data set. So these are the few learning methods which is going to be used in a artificial neural network. So this picture simply shows what is supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, and what is reinforcement learning. In supervised learning, input data is produced to the machine learning model, and it produces the output. Okay, at the same manner, in some supervised learning, undiscovered, otherwise unlabeled input data is applied, and which is going to be produced output, that is discovered pattern, undiscovered pattern as a output. So maybe it's a clustering, maybe it's a classification, maybe it's a regression. So in reinforcement learning, it act like a depends on environment. Okay, in environment, what type of action going to be taken based on the rewards and penalties, it's going to be completed its cycle. So robots can be used like this and activated like this. So these are the three type of algorithms which is going to be used in a artificial neural network. So as such, we already discussed supervised learning is a type of machine learning algorithm where the model is trained using input data that is labeled with the current output. The algorithm learns to map inputs to the correct output. The same manner, unsupervised learning deals with the input data that has no labeled responses. The model tries to find hidden patterns and group picks in the data without guidance. So, unsupervised learning uses unlabeled data. So in reinforcement learning, it trains an agent, okay, to take actions in an environment to maximize cumulative rewards. So based on the rewards and penalties only, the robotics going to be performed. So the agent learns from the trial and error using feedback from its actions. So feedback from its actions. So based on the feedback, it produce or it going to step forward another action. Okay. So these are the three type of learnings which is used in a artificial neural network. So okay, what is activation function? Why it is need? So, there is a input layer, hidden layer and output layer. We have a three type of layers which is present in a artificial neural network model, but these layers can be different numbers in a deep learning model and machine learning model and any type of oral neural network model. Okay, so activation function is very important, because the activation function stimulates the given that is the input produced output which is placed in hidden layer. Those values can be taken to the output layer based on the activation function. So it stimulates every neuron or every node. So it has a large data types. So sigmoid function and Tanz function and ReLU activation function, leaky ReLU activation function, softmax function, and activation introduced in non-linearity. So sigmoid function maps input between 0 and 1. Tanh function max input between -1 and 1. Relay activation allows faster training. Leaky relay handles dead neuron issues. So shortcut function used for multi-class classification. So activation functions introduce a non-linearity. They determine neuron output based on the weighted sum. Choice of function affects learning and accuracy, used in both hidden and output layers. So each has a specific advantages depending on use case. So activation function is very important for artificial neural network, because the important terminologies they used in, we already know each layer has some weight, and it has also a bias, and there is optimization, there is overfitting, loss function, hidden layer, epoch, then activation functions. It's a grouply forming one process as a successful one. So what are the important terminologies of ANN? First, basic unit is a neuron. Then weight. Weight is the strength of connection between neurons. What is bias? Bias adjusts the output of the neuron. What is epoch? Epoch is a full training cycle. That is, the given data is circled, otherwise processing at a time, at a one cycle, which is called as a epoch. If it is a epoch is a 10, means the given data is 10 times going to be processed, otherwise 10 cycles it takes to complete a particular data set, otherwise 10 times the given data set is going to be processed. There is also another terminology, batch size. The given data set is, if fixed as 100 means, but the total number of data set is 500. The batch rate is fixed as 100 means the given data set is divided into 500, 100, and each time, if I give a epoch as a 5 means 5 times the 100 data is going to be cycled. Another 5 times, another 100 is another 5 times going to cycle. So like this, batch wise the process is going to be happen, so that the problem can be easily solved, because the accuracy, high accuracy can be produced. So loss function measures prediction error. So learning rate controls update size. So learning rate is very much important. If learning rate is 0.01 and there is a differentiation between 0.01 and 0.001, which is good, means definitely a 0.001, because that learning rate, thus much effectively it learns the given input. What is overfitting? So whenever the system we train the system more number of times for the given input, then it's going to be overfitting, because that time the machine learns a full data set, and whenever it goes to 100 to 1 time, it get misconcluded that it produce accuracy above 100, because it learns so much. After that, sometime it get confused and produced output as a overfitting. So that time the result is not a exact one, because the machine confuses itself. Okay, so that time it identify leaf as a ear as a leaf, like that there is a confusion, because both leaf shape and rabbit ear shape more or less the same, like needle shape, so which confused. So like that, the overfitting is when model memorizes the data wrongly. So that time wrongly, otherwise superstitious. The both cases, the overfitting are used. What is underfitting? The same concept. When the machine fails to learn the data, then it produces a very low accuracy. Then it is a underfitting data. So what is the use of hidden layer? Hidden layer simply transform input to the output. So back propagation is used to minimize the error. So we already know whatever pre-processing techniques we can be used to clear the data or process the data. We remove the any false bias and null values and zero values and duplicate values in the data. We remove the help of some pre-processing technique. But however, it's a machine made one, so surely there is a chance of bias, and we already know that in the artificial neural network there is a bias. The automatically it produced bias for the every output of the layer. So the back propagation used to reduce that bias of the input. So these are the some features and some techniques which we are going to be learn in artificial neural networks. So artificial neural networks, still now we have some basic understanding of the concept. What is artificial neural network, what is neural network, and how neural network is different from artificial neural network. Then what are the layers present in the neural network and how it's different from the artificial neural network. Artificial neural network is a collection of input layer, hidden layer and output layer, and how it resembles brain. In brain there is axons, tendrils and synapses. In artificial neural network, the input layer, hidden layer, output layer, and it has some important terminologies used, that is epoch, batch size, learning rate, activation functions, and then back propagation, feed forward. These are the some terminologies which is used and need for the artificial neural network. Then what are the learning algorithms can be used? Supervised learning, unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning. Supervised learning is a used labeled data, unsupervised learning used unlabeled data, while reinforcement learning work based on the actions and rewards. Okay, rewards and penalties. So these are the some concepts comes under artificial neural network. Okay, we have already know how the artificial neural network is evolved from the neural networks, and it starts from 1946, and single perceptron is developed, and then multi-layer perceptron is developed, and then back propagation produced, and then deep learning models and artificial intelligence model. So everything happens step by step based on the development of artificial intelligence and internet enhancement. Okay, these are the some concepts behind artificial neural network. Thank you for listening.